Good evening. Morning coffee is never happening anymore, is it? It's all in the evening. And that's because my life is a rushy thing now that I'm taking care of Granny during the day. It's actually not that rushy. We do a lot of napping, Granny and I. Jet lag has been a beast still. It's a gradual thing. I guess standard is that you move your clock 2 hours per day. And so I don't know what that means. I think I've been here a week. We got here Thursday and it's Wednesday. Yeah, we've been here almost a week. So I should be good to go. I should be 8 hours off, but I still took 2 naps today. Don't know why. I took 2 naps today. Yeah, meals are a weird thing because your meals are thrown off. And so I'm hungry at strange times. Like I just was starving at 10 o'clock. Starving. Wanted a full meal. I kind of had a series of snacks that probably were inappropriate, but I had them anyway. And yeah, Granny's gone to bed, so that's when I'm kind of doing these things is when Granny goes to bed. But after a little interlude with an unfinished project, I am back on my sweater project, working on designing a sweater that I kind of have in my head with it's a cardigan, relatively plain cardigan, out of a chunky yarn with a single cable up the side. But I've been distractible. I've had a little jet lag. I've managed to start the sweater from the top down to the armhole divide twice, ripped it out twice. I believe today I ripped it out for a third time, only because I forgot the stupidest thing. When you're adding a cable into your sweater, let me turn this around and I'm going to flip it around and show you. This is my little pile here. I just had a big rip out session. So here's my pile of ripped out yarn. I am using for cable for my numbers for a V-neck. I cannot recommend more. The Handy Book of Top-Down Sweaters by Ann Budd. I carried this in on my suitcase because I knew I was going to need it. Her numbers, if you can handle formulas, these numbers are great. I am using a bulky yarn, so it is a gauge of 3 stitches per inch, and I have a chest size. She helps you with the numbers. And I'm glad that's blurry because you can't be reading that. Because this is a copyrighted book. If you want this book, we can get it for you. We do not keep it in stock standardly, but I can either put up a pre-order sheet, or you can send me a message or send me an email or even leave a comment and say, I want one, and we'll get one in for you. So here's my top-down sweater, but the discussion about a cable, I'm putting a single cable in, and here it is, right here. I've just done my first crossover, right there. It's going to go down, just down from my raglan sleeve. It'll go straight down the front. But when you do a cable, as I got my brain together on the second iteration of this, you need to have purl stitches on either side of that cable or you don't see the cable. And why I didn't notice it the first 2 times, and I've made this mistake oh so many times, but here we are. So I've now inserted first one cable just to sort of ease into the whole cable situation, and now I've added a second cable stitch, or a second purl stitch. So it's 1 purl stitch. I was working up, increasing my stitches in between on this. So what this is I did stitches, but I'm increasing by 4 stitches to accommodate the stretch that this cable makes. So I had knit stitches all the way across, and then I switched to a single purl. I did I don't know, there were 2 knit stitches in here. I increased 2 stitches, then I did a purl stitch, and then I did the increase for the front of the sleeve, or to go over the shoulder. And then on the next round, and then I did the same stitches back. On the next round, I did a purl stitch. I increased 2 more stitches, and I went ahead and put in two purl stitches on this side, my increase back, purl back with like stitches. And then finally here, right before I did my cable cross, I added the second purl stitch on this side. just because it looked right and it felt right that the transition had kind of been smooth. So that is where we're at. I am hoping I don't have to do it again. The other thing that happened in the last round is I did follow Ann Budd's formula for a V-neck, but her V-neck is too abrupt. I felt like it transitioned too quickly and then quit. And I like a gentler V that is deeper on a cardigan. So I'm slowing down the V and doing every other row instead of every row for 7 rows. That's how, at least for me, design works. Is I take inspiration or numbers off of some previous pattern or some other idea that I've done in the past. Sometimes I just completely make it up. I have a sort of a shawl capelet thing that I made for the Slow Yarn Crawl a couple of years ago called the Hug Me Shawl. And that one, I saw a picture in a French fashion magazine that was a blouse that you actually cut out of a piece of fabric, but the shape was intriguing. And so I went, well, I could knit that, and I could knit that in one piece. And so I knit it, and that became and I developed the pattern just completely from a visual image. So I'm going to throw this back because I don't know if Kelly doesn't always watch my videos, and I don't always watch Kelly's videos. But Kelly ought to do a video to go with mine to talk about how she is inspired to make her own patterns. Now, I love hats, and hats are like, I can crank out a hat pattern usually pretty fast. My super secret pattern is a hat pattern, and I did actually struggle with that one a little bit because the closure on the top, because of the design element I had in it, it kind of threw the closure on the top off a little bit. So I had to fiddle with that a bit, and I spent most of the week in Hawaii fiddling with that closure technique to try and just get it right to my satisfaction. So it's not always super easy when you take off. And then other hats, I get an idea and it's like, boom, crank them out, done. I have one that I did that was where you carried a worsted weight yarn with mohair silk, and you carried it around and you knit a few rows, and then you dropped the worsted weight and you just did a couple rows in a mohair silk, and then you picked it up again and you went in stripes. And what it does, because you're going from a thick yarn to a thin yarn, it makes an accordion effect. And I wrote that pattern in a day and cranked it out, and I gave it away. It was a free pattern from the shop, and it still is free up at Ravelry, I believe. If you go look at the Black Sheep Fiber Emporium, because check Black Sheep Fiber Emporium or a Twisted Picot. I don't know that the Ravelry account's changed over yet, but check both because it'll be there, I'm sure. But anyway, and I'll also put a link below where you can go find the pattern that I'm talking about here. I don't remember what it's called. I forgot. I think it's like Frost Hat or something like that. Anyway, that pattern I wrote in a day. I knit the hat up in an evening. I wrote the pattern up. Never had any trouble with it. Tons of people have knit it. Not an error in it. Boom, bun, done. Perfect hat. And then I think there was like a little problem with the closure that I fixed right away. And then other hats or sweaters, I struggle, and I have to rip them out a lot and put them back. But it's all the process. I don't mind the process of knitting. I like to knit, and I don't mind things that take a long time because it's all the process. And I'm a process knitter, not a product knitter. I like fiddling with the idea and figuring it out. Now, the one problem I do have is, I'm sorry to say, I like figuring it out because I want to figure it out. And sometimes I figure things out and I'm satisfied with that, and writing up the pattern for you guys is not at the top of my priority list because I'm lazy. I'm really lazy at heart sometimes. But I try to get it done, especially if I think you're really going to like it. So, or what I've learned to do for myself is set up deadlines where I'm forced to get it done, and then I get it done because there's a deadline that's sitting in front of me. If I don't have a deadline set up, then I'm going to waffle it and never get it done. So there's always something more important to do, right? Anyway, that's it for me tonight. I'm going to head off to bed because it's time. David has been working his Oregon schedule in the UK. So he starts work about 6 p.m. He toodles into bed about 2 a.m. And then he gets up in the morning. Today it was around noon. It's a little irritating. I'm getting up about 8 a.m. So we've kind of reversed roles. It's not very nice. I'm kind of understanding why he was a little irritated with me in Oregon. So payback's kind of hell right now. Anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. How do you guys deal with jet lag? How do you design patterns? Do you enjoy designing patterns? Tell me about it. How about how things going for you in Oregon right now or wherever you are? If you haven't subscribed to the channel, do, and hit the bell if you want to see what's going on in the next video. We will still be here on the weekend. He'll have the weekend off. I bet he'll be ecstatic not having to work at night. The sweater should be progressing, so I will show you an update on the weekend. Hopefully I won't run out of yarn. I was afraid I was going to run out of yarn. I didn't realize I'd be knitting the same yardage over and over again. And I will see you on Saturday, hopefully with Jean, but she's been too sick. We had a little bit of a step back today. She hasn't felt very well, so she's in bed, tucked in, all tight and warm. All right, bye.